In the ancient lands of Mesopotamia, where the sands whispered secrets of yore, lived Leah, a woman whose life was woven with threads of love, sorrow, and divine intervention. Her tale reveals that sometimes a woman of faith can feel unloved by her husband. Leah, the wife of Jacob, experienced this, but God heard her prayers and saw her plight. To understand Leah's tale, one must first wander through the life of Jacob. Jacob was the son of Isaac and Rebekah and the grandson of Abraham. Jacob's elder brother Esau was the rightful heir, bearing the birthright of the firstborn. One day, when Esau returned from an unsuccessful hunt and was hungry, Jacob bought Esau's birthright in exchange for some soup. When their father Isaac was dying, Jacob, with her mother Rebekah's help, deprived Esau out of his father's blessing. Now enraged, Esau would have killed Jacob, but Jacob fled. He went to take refuge with his uncle, Laban, brother of Rebekah, at Haran in Mesopotamia. Leah was the eldest daughter of Laban and Jacob's cousin. Her sister Rachel was her younger sister. From the very start, Leah's life was marked by comparison and competition. The Bible describes Leah as having weak eyes, which many scholars interpret as a sign of physical or emotional imperfection. Rachel, on the other hand, was described as beautiful in form and appearance. The contrast between the two sisters was stark and painful, because this dichotomy set the stage for Leah's heartache and struggle. Upon reaching Haran, Jacob fell deeply in love with Rachel, the epitome of grace and allure. In his ardor, he agreed to labor for 7 years to earn Rachel's hand in marriage. But Laban, Leah's father, had other plans. 7 years lapsed, and as the wedding night arrived, darkness and deception intertwined. In the veiled shades of the wedding tent, Leah, the elder sister, was quietly substituted for Rachel. The Bible recounts this pivotal moment with striking clarity. When morning came, there was Leah. Can you imagine Jacob's shock and despair? This was not the woman he had labored for 7 years to wed. Laban, the father of the sisters, justified the ruse by tradition, declaring that the younger must not be married before the elder. He told Jacob to fulfill Leah's week of marriage festivities, and then he could have Rachel as his wife as well. However, in order to have Rachel, Jacob had to give Laban 7 more years of service. After Leah's week of marriage, Jacob took Rachel as his second wife. He agreed to work another 7 years for Rachel, a testament to his longing and Laban's shrewdness. Imagine how that must have felt to Leah, to have her husband for 1 week, and then have him snatched away by her younger sister. Leah knew that she was the unloved wife. Her marriage was marked not by love, but by deception and disappointment. Jacob's heart belonged to Rachel, and Leah was left in the shadows. Leah's heart must have been heavy with the weight of her circumstances. She was married to a man who did not truly desire her, and she bore the brunt of this unrequited love. The two sisters became co-wives and started competing for status in the household. Jacob clearly preferred Rachel, but God was aware of Leah's unfortunate situation, and he had compassion on Leah. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Perhaps the significance of Leah's name comes into play here, as the word Leah meant cow, and cows were a symbol of fertility in Mesopotamia. Leah was not overlooked or unloved by God, who rewarded her with children, which was a highly important honor for a wife in those days. Leah's fertility quickly resulted in 4 sons: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Each name was a cry from Leah's soul, an anxious appeal for recognition and love. Reuben's name, meaning "see a son," hoped to endear her to Jacob. Simeon, one who hears, was her appeal to God's empathy. Levi, attached, signified her wish for her husband's closeness. With each birth, her hope that Jacob would love her grew fainter, as Jacob still preferred Rachel. However, the birth of 4th son, Judah, meaning praise, marked a turning point. With Judah's birth, Leah's heart began to find contentment in gratitude and worship, rather than in Jacob's affection. Now it was Rachel's turn to become jealous, who then allowed her maid, Bilhah, to give birth to 2 sons from Jacob. Leah, no longer fertile, responded by having her own maid Zilpah bear 2 sons from Jacob. The rivalry reached its zenith when Leah's son Reuben discovered mandrakes, an herb believed to induce fertility. Both sisters coveted these magical herbs for their fertility-inducing powers. They strike a bargain. Leah will give Rachel the mandrakes in return for a night with Jacob. Leah announced to Jacob that she has hired him with the mandrakes and Jacob spent the night with her. The new accord between the sisters helped Leah become pregnant, and she gave birth to 2 more sons, Issachar, God has given me my hire, and Zebulon, now my husband will honor me, and a daughter, Dinah. Jacob's growing family with Leah's 7 children had brought joy to Leah and humbled Rachel. After God had finished filling up Leah's life with children, he remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. As Rachel bore her firstborn son, Joseph, she said, God has taken away my reproach. Joseph means he will add, for Rachel believed, the Lord shall add to me another son. And she was right. She would yet have 1 more son, whom Jacob would call Benjamin. At last, the time came when the family left for Canaan, Jacob's home. Despite all her children, Leah was still the second choice. While in journey, Jacob felt danger from his brother Esau. He arranged his family so that the maids and their children were placed first with minimum protection, then Leah and her children, and last and most protected, Rachel and Joseph. This was a stark reminder of Leah's lower status compared to Rachel. Even after Rachel's death, Jacob will continue to favor her son Joseph. After Rachel's death, Leah continued her life as Jacob's and the mother of his many children living in Canaan. The Bible does not explain when she died, but Leah was buried in the cave of Machpelah, alongside Jacob. According to Jewish tradition, this is the cave of the patriarchs in Hebron. Rachel, who died in childbirth, was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Though she was unloved by Jacob, Leah's legacy continued to flourish. Her 4th son, Judah, became the ancestor of King David and ultimately of Jesus Christ. Leah's story teaches us about the power of finding self-worth and purpose despite rejection. Her life was not defined by Jacob's lack of love, but by her resilience and faithfulness. Her story teaches that our worth is not determined by human affection, but by our inner strength and our relationship with the divine.